Well, we have seen our delete all portion is working successfully, and we know it very well how to pass the data, okay, from main component to the child component in the form of state. Now, once we delete all, okay, so certainly your data will not be having any kind of availability in your array, so your main app will delete all the records. Okay, that's the one thing. But what I want is, initially I have some couple of records added. So in my next example, what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to remove all the existing records whichever are available under the user data. And once it is removed, certainly when I launch my application, I won't be having any outcome visible there, because since there is no record, so your button will be disabled for sure. But I want to add the data dynamically rather than adding the data statically the way it was added earlier. So how we can add it? So just like the way we have called delete all, we will have another function here named called handle add. So we can say add user. So it's another function. We are writing it now. So in our add user, we will have data, whatever the data we are collecting it from the client, and inside this I will have the first property name called this dot set state. And now this dot set state, I will be having this previous state with me, and then I say return. In this return, we can use this user data colon previous state dot user data dot concat. Concat is a predefined function of your array, and I will concat with what? The input what we are receiving from the client, that is the data. That's it. So this add user is now taking the data from the client, so called your add user, or from the add user class or the component, and from where it is just appending it to the state and getting your job done. Okay, so once it is ready, I would like to go back to my main component called add user, and here we say add user equal to, here I am passing this function name called add user. So I will go back to my add user function. So this is my component where I'm actually adding the record. So in my next example, I would like to remove this alert is not required, and here in my add user I will have this with me, and I will say this dot props dot, and the function name which I'm having it, that is called add user. You see, add user, and here we are passing the data, the one which I'm collecting it from the client. Isn't it easy now? Exactly it is. So now I'll go back to my terminal and npm space start. And I will see there's some issue. Okay. Or some permissions related issues. Okay, so I can see I've got some records. So initially the show is certainly disabled because we do not have any records, and I don't have any records to show because I have removed and my complete array kept it empty. Let me add the one record. Okay, so here once again there may be some error. They say add user is not a function. Okay, let me check. Okay, here it has to be add user, because here from main app we are passing this with a small u. Let's check this out again. Awesome, the records are added and you can instantly show this show button is enabled. Let me add one more, and you can see that another record is added. And delete all will once again delete all the records and this button get disabled. So certainly you can see the state is taken care by this main app. It is creating a function, passing those functions to the required components. If you can see here, passing this function, which is this, to the required component through this property. And in my add user, I can easily see how to take the data and pass on to my required component. So this is quite simple and easy approach where the developer can check and implement this functionality without any challenges. So in this example, we have seen how to take care about the state, what exactly the props are, how the props are getting associated, and multiple options. We have recently seen this. So this is quite interesting. And in case, imagine if I want to delete the individual records, so what are the options I will be using it? Again, I'm repeating my word. What in case if I would like to delete the individual records? So what options I will be using it to delete the records? So in case if you're planning to delete the individual records, so in such cases you can create individual buttons. You can create what? The individual buttons, and those buttons can delete those individual records rather than deleting all the records. So you can just write a simple logic, from where you can just review and check how it has been implemented. Well, here initially in my main app, if I just check, let me format it. Now here in my components, I have a default state which is available called user data :blank. That is there. But you should also know, we can see I'm hard coding this state equal to blank. What in case if I want to read the values from the outside, and then I decide whether the value of this user data or initial state is blank or what? So there's an alternative option is available here. What we can do, we can pass the data from the external location. How? Here if you see, we can use this by giving the name of my component, and followed by this class. So what is my class name right now? It's called main app. Let me check it as a main app. So I'm saying main app dot default props is a predefined type. Default props is a predefined type equal to, and remember we're keeping it outside of your class, not inside. And default props is a default, you can say, option which is available through which you can pass some default values to your component. I'm passing user data :blank. I'm initializing like this. User data :blank. So here in my application, when I go to my this state which is initially setting up this, so how can I pass this initial data back to my application? It's quite simple. In case if you would like to initialize a state, so rather than giving this, we can say this dot props dot user data. Let me check. It is a user data, small d. So we are saying this dot props dot user data. So this user data doesn't know what this props is going to offer it to them. So this is quite simple, and I may not require this. Let me check like this, and you see it's giving you like this. So we are saying this dot props dot user data. So now adding the values is behaving the same the way it was supposed to, and see in my console there is no error. The code is working perfectly fine. So this is how you can pass the value from the outside. And coming back to this implementation where we have to delete this individual record, that also I can do that. But for this I need to create a multiple delete function buttons, okay, which hold the number of records. So for me, user.js, it is getting iterated multiple times, so here I can create a delete button. So here I say button, and here I define delete, but let me put it in div tag. So this delete button, the number of times this user component is getting iterated through users.js, so number of times this delete button will get called. Okay, so let's check. Perfect. So you can see here this, the delete button comes next to them. Okay, so but this delete button is doing nothing because I haven't written any logic which can remove this data particularly from this code. But this option I will do it later on. Okay, this logic I will implement little later on how to do this, but I can write, okay, some main core logic under main app.js where it will take the input from the child component and delete the appropriate record as per our requirement. So what we can do is here itself I can say delete user. Okay, and in case if I want to delete the user, certainly I need to have some input accepted from the client. So we are using this input as a property, and since I want to delete the record, I have to say this dot set state. We are passing prev state here. Okay, and from here I want to delete a specific record. So here I say user data colon, here I say prev state dot user data, and here I'll be holding one function input filter. Okay, I'm having this call filter with me. Under this we are taking this input what the client is adding it, and here we will remove it, the one user wants to remove. Okay, so rather than saying input, you can give the name called uInput, and here you say input equal to uInput. That's it. So this particular function will take the required input from the client, okay, and perform the necessary delete operation from your application. And remember, this delete user function, as I can see right now my code has got no issue. Okay, so this delete user, which is taking the input and deleting the appropriate record, okay, we have to pass this function to the appropriate component. So which component I will pass? See, the challenge is right now main app can pass its input or data directly to its child, which is nothing but I call users. But user is a child of users, not a direct child of main app. So we have to pass data to the users, and from there we can further pass to where? To our user here. And don't worry, I will also tell you how to overcome from this problem very easily. So here we have this users here, and inside this user I can say delete user equal to, I have one function called delete user. Delete user. So we pass this, and later on the same user will be passing this data to its child component, which is nothing but a call user, and from there this records will be individually deleting it. Okay, so I'm sure that overall you are able to understand what the flow is. Initially you might find there's a little restriction because you cannot pass the data directly to the user, which is a grandchild of main app, but in our upcoming example I will show you how to do this and fix it.